and they decided, and we were a big fat ship, they decided to get us out of there. It was too dangerous. So whatever wounded we had on board, we left,
Where did you? So you left Okinawa,
heading back.
heading back to.
My worst day of the war, April 12th, 1945.
Why is that?
President Roosevelt died.
Yeah.
He was the only president we ever knew. I was 7 years old when he went in office, and the rest of us, he was still president 12 years later or whatever. It was mentally a tough day. Someone said, "Who's the vice president?" No one knew who the vice president was.
You do now. Yeah.
Yeah, Harry Truman. Anyway, we got to Guam. We offloaded casualties who were going to be treated and returned to duty, not seriously wounded. More seriously wounded, we took on to Pearl Harbor for extended medical treatment.
Did your
Yeah.
your unit have any casualties at this time?
Not us.
I mean, you described the kamikaze attacks and
Right.
the boats around you, the ships around you. Excuse me, not boats.
Subsequently, I found out, I didn't see it, but one of the other transports was the PA-92, the Alpine. She took a hit into the compartment, but they hadn't unloaded their troops yet. The troops were still in the compartments. She blew a hole and lost like 80 people. And, but it was in the newspaper, but they didn't release this for 3 months or something like that. There were a lot of casualties. I have a I guess it's a bibliography of naval operations in World War II, day by day, and I've read it several times. And I found out that other ship was hit twice. Once when we were there, once was some other time. Some of them went down. Susan B. Anthony went down. They were big targets.
Yeah.
Now we went back to Pearl Harbor, and I got called down to the office. I'm being transferred off the ship. They had a man on in Pearl Harbor who was doing that same kind of work. He'd been here for 2 years. They didn't have a replacement for him. And when we came in, they had to fill out a card of each corpsman and their specialty. And I guess my card came up somewhere, and I got yanked. That's first day. I was taken off the ship and went to the receiving station, and that's where I spent the rest of the war, at the receiving station in Pearl Harbor, which turned out to be a massive job. They were responsible for, it was 10 or 11 facilities. They had CBMUs, which are construction battalion maintenance units, waves. They had hundreds of waves stationed in Hawaii. That was one of the things. We had others, I had many of them. Now I'm still doing dispensary duty, rotating maybe once every 6 or 8 days. But my basic thing was seeing that everybody supplies. They gotta have bandages, they gotta have this, they gotta have that. Alcohol, I mean, everything you need. Let me backtrack.
Sure.
Going to the invasion, you got things you can't even believe what goes into a medical setup for an invasion. I wasn't a genius. I had a book, pages and pages and pages. We had bandages, we had needles, we had all kinds of crutches. I had 3 boxes about this big filled with whiskey. The same whiskey you used to get on the airplanes, those little bottles. 72 bottles in a box. And that was part of the medical thing. I went down there after the group went ashore that first day. 1 box is missing. There's only 3 people have the keys. Me, the chief pharmacist mate, and the senior medical officer. Who's gonna get it in the head? When they came back to the ship off the beach battalion, he apologized. He forgot to sign out when he took it. The doctor took it ashore. You talk about sweating. Yeah, anyway, when I was in Pearl Harbor, it was interesting because we used to have, well, I'll give you everything.
Sure.
You did night duty.
Right.
And we'd pull a bed out into the hallway, and we had signs with bulbs behind it. Man on duty, that kind of thing. I'll tell you more what we gave out. We gave out condoms, we gave out prophylactic kits,
Mm-hmm.
and big boxes on the counter signed, take as much as you need. And you can't believe who paid for it. The chaplain's office, welfare and recreation. That was it. And I stayed there until I was discharged.
What'd you think of Pearl Harbor? I know you had gone out there before from San Diego,
But
on the way back.
Yeah, but we never got off the ship
Fair enough.
on the way out.
So well, you're back there. It's a central part of our involvement in the war. What did you think?
Right.
What did you think of the
I
harbor
couldn't
now that
get-
you're on land looking
Yeah,
at it?
because we had trucks, we used to go and get equipment.
Right.
It was unbelievable. There wasn't a square foot of those islands that didn't have some kind of an installation on it.
Yeah.
There were 3 hospitals on Oahu. There was, I don't know how many Army units were there. There was an airfield, Wheeler Field up in the mountains. And when you went through the roads, there was equipment up and down the hills.
Mm-hmm.
Jeeps, ambulances, trucks, thousands of them.
Yeah.
I didn't see them going out, but once we got there, and you know what happened to them when the war ended? They took them out on ships and they dumped them.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with 500 ambulances? You know, that kind of stuff. They got dumped. The other thing that dumped, typewriters. Every stinking place had typewriters. Well, they all disappeared too. What do you do with them? Yeah.
So you're in Pearl Harbor. Do you remember the day you heard about the victory in Europe?
Absolutely.
Can you tell me about that?
Yes. 3 o'clock in the morning. All of a sudden, there's a band marching down the street.
And that was your first clue that something was
Yeah,
up.
they're playing California, Here We Come. 3 o'clock in the morning. We were down from the main gate of the Navy Yard, maybe a quarter of a mile, and they were marching them up and down the streets. The next day, maybe the day after, was the busiest day I had in service. Everybody got drunk. And then they began fighting over the bottles. And they were bashing each other over the heads with the bottles. We must have worked 24, 30 hours straight through. And it was nothing serious. Cuts, whatever.
Right.
That was the day the war ended. Yeah.
So the victory in Europe, and do you
May.
remember? Yes, in May. And so in August, when the Japanese surrendered, do you remember that?
That was the day I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about victory in Europe.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No. That was in
Okay.
August.
Right.
And I have to tell you, one thing just reached my mind.
Sure.
First thing we went out and we came to Pearl Harbor, they have a submarine boom to keep submarines out of the harbor. And they held us outside the boom because there was a ship going out. I had never seen an aircraft carrier before. we're here and maybe 50, 60 feet away, the Enterprise went out. I'd never seen anything so big in my life. I mean, we're looking up at like this to the deck. It was incredible, incredible. Yeah, I just thought of that. And I stayed there for the rest of the war. We had all these different things. I say we had the CBMU, we had the Ways Barracks, so you had all kinds of things. And what I did was a record keeper, personal. I have it all here.
Sure, we're gonna go. Yeah, we're definitely gonna go through it.
And
Can I? Sure. Why don't you go ahead and start here?
this is the picture I'm looking for. It's here somewhere. Somewhere. That's the one I gave and they shrunk it.
Yeah, we took any pictures we took. We scanned and gave back the originals.
I haven't gotten it.
Okay,
Yeah.
we can check with Claire afterwards.
Okay.
Because I wasn't able